Hi everyone, this is Kyle, and we had this interview come up recently with the Witcher creator Andrzej Sapkowski, and if you ask me, it's just further proof that if you're an author, if you're a creator of a story, and if there's interest in adapting it into a movie or a TV show, you absolutely cannot trust the studio or whoever it is to make a faithful adaptation. You have to guard your work. You have to really, really protect your work, because if you don't, whatever studio it is that's working on it, they will vandalize it, they will destroy it, and they are not going to show respect for it. So I'm unbounding into comics here. Article starts off, it's a tale as old as time when it comes to the streaming giant Netflix. According to the Witcher original creator Andrzej Sapkowski, Netflix was completely uninterested in hearing his opinions regarding their handling of his seminal work's live-action adaptation. The author provided this insight into his experience with Netflix's The Witcher production team while speaking to Austrian video game news outlet Serial Killers during a recently held 2023 entry of the annual Vienna Comic-Con. Following discussions on his writing history, creative process, and what lies in store for Geralt in the future, the outlet eventually raised the topic of the live-action series, asking Sapkowski, "When you visited Netflix on the set for the Witcher series, did you give them any feedback?" To this question, the author first responded by beaming over how well the set was tremendous, tremendous, everything, before returning to the outlet's main question and admitting that while he had thoughts on the series' direction, they were ultimately discarded by its production team. "Maybe I gave them some ideas, but they never listened to me," he laughed to Serial Killers. "It's normal. Who's this? He's a writer. He's nobody." I mean, the one thing I take from this quote right here, obviously he said that they never listened to him, but he also says right here, it's normal. In other words, he's saying it's normal for people on the production to not listen to the actual creator of the story, which, I mean, he is the creator of the story. Why the hell would you not listen to him? You should be listening to him on absolutely everything, because it was his story and his vision, and it was his story as it was originally written that gained a lot of fans. I mean, the people working on the production team for The Witcher, it was not those people that gained a ton of fans for The Witcher, it was the creator. I'll also add this to it. We know this story here. The Witcher former writer recalls staff actively mocking the source material. Notably, this is not the first time the storied author has offered such a lukewarm reception to Netflix's ongoing mess of a television adaptation. Asked by a fan for his thoughts on the live-action The Witcher series during a recent appearance at the 2023 Type A International Book Exhibition, Sapkowski unenthusiastically affirmed, "I've seen better, I've seen worse." Further, Sapkowski is far from the only creator to have publicly claimed that Netflix ignored their input when adapting their work. Speaking to his involvement in Netflix's ill-fated television disaster during a 2019 interview with Japanese entertainment news outlet OdaQuest, Cowboy Bebop creator Shinichiro Watanabe detailed, "I read the initial concept and provided my opinions, but I'm not sure they will be reflected in the final product." And the end result of that is that Cowboy Bebop was canceled after one season. Netflix's disregarding of Watanabe's feedback would later be confirmed by the series leader John Cho during an interview with IGN, admitted, "We did not communicate with Watanabe." Likewise, in explaining his exit from the production team for Netflix's upcoming live-action adaptation of his and Brian Konietzko's popular animated series Avatar: The Last Airbender, co-creator Michael Dante DiMartino confirmed, "In a joint announcement for the series, Netflix said that it was committed to honoring our vision for retelling and supporting us on creating the series, and we expressed how excited we were for the opportunity to be at the helm. Unfortunately, things did not go as we had hoped." And then he goes on to state, "When Netflix brought me on board to run the series alongside Mike 2 years ago, they made a very public promise to support our vision. Unfortunately, there was no follow-through on that promise. Though I got to work with some great individuals both on Netflix's side and on our own small development team, the general handling of the project created what I felt was a negative and unsupportive environment. To be clear, this was not a simple matter of us not getting our way," he added. "Mike and I are collaborative people. We did not need all the ideas to come from us, as long as we felt those ideas were in line with the spirit and integrity of Avatar. We would have happily embraced them. However, we ultimately came to the belief that we would not be able to meaningfully guide the direction of the series." So in other words, Netflix, they had other priorities other than telling a good adaptation of Avatar, and they wanted to fundamentally change Avatar. And then the article here concludes, "And yet, despite Netflix's ongoing disrespect of the very creators they source their creative ideas from, their best performing and most widely enjoyed show in recent memory was One Piece, whose production team broke this trend by actively including series Mangaka Ichiro Oda in every step of its development. Imagine that. Yep. Now granted, yes, they did actively include Ichiro Oda in every step of the development for One Piece. However, Ichiro Oda, he was very protective of his work. I mean, that's been pretty well documented at this point. I mean, as he put it, he guarded his work like a dog. And I am always going to wonder, if he wasn't doing that, would the people at Netflix have shown the same level of respect for One Piece that they did if they didn't have the creator constantly involved in making sure that they didn't screw his story up? I mean, Netflix's record with other series, it's not very good. I mean, anybody who says that Netflix would have utterly vandalized One Piece if Ichiro Oda wasn't involved, I mean, I can't argue you at all. I'm always going to wonder that. But the one thing I do take from it is, at the end of the day, they did get a good adaptation for One Piece. And a lot of people like that show. And so, I mean, you can get some good content from these big studios, but it has to be approached correctly. I mean, if you're the creator of the work, you have to really, really guard your work. You know, like a dog, as Ichiro Oda put it. You know, you cannot let them vandalize your work. Because if you aren't involved, and if you give these studios creative freedom when it comes to your work, they will destroy it. I mean, I'll add to this, George Lucas, he had a vision for episodes 7, 8, and 9, and George Lucas in an interview said that Disney decided to go in a different direction. And you also had Amazon's Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power show. You know, Tolkien has been dead for 50 years, so he's not alive and able to defend his work anymore. Christopher Tolkien, he passed away, a few years back now. He can't defend his father's work. They had a Tolkien scholar, Tom Shippey, working on the team for Rings of Power, and he got fired very early on. And then when the show came out, it was probably the most disrespectful thing that had ever been created by Hollywood, and that's saying something. Again, if you're an author of a story that Hollywood is interested in adapting, you have to protect that story. And you have to understand, these people, they do not respect you. And if you just give them freedom to do whatever they want with your story, they are not going to make a good, faithful adaptation of it. They're going to put their dirty fingerprints all over your work. I mean, they've done this with, I don't know how many different series, how many different IPs now, or how many different franchises they've done this to. And The Witcher here is just another example of it. I mean, season 1 of The Witcher, it was, people generally liked it, but after that it started to go downhill. Henry Cavill, he's a huge fan of The Witcher. Everyone thought he was perfect to play Geralt. Henry wanted them sticking to the source material. Netflix was not, and well, right before season 3 starts, he announces that he's leaving the show. And season 3 was not well received at all, and season 4 I don't think is going to get any better. And who knows, maybe One Piece ends up going downhill after season 1. I don't know. I mean, the creator is still going to be heavily involved in it, so I kind of like the chances that it's not going to collapse like The Witcher did, but that all, of course, remains to be seen. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you consider hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Take care until then.